Alright, hello everybody. We are doing a VOD review today of a Viscous player who is competing in Archon Elo. So we're going to get to check out some gameplay and cover a handful of different tips and just make some observations. My name is 22 and I've been coaching esports since 2018, and while Deadlock is my first MOBA esports title that I've really worked with, I've put in about 400 hours up to this point, and I myself have reached a rank of Phantom 4. I don't think I am the smartest Deadlock player by any means, but I think I bring some perspective that I think it's healthy to mix my perspective with the perspectives that you guys may have, and allow you guys to watch other content creators and really paint a full picture here. I primarily play Viscous, so we are looking at a Viscous VOD, and we are going to make a lot of observations that are Viscous specific and conversations that are Viscous specific, but we also are going to try to talk about some macro things, I'm sure, in general, just in terms of how the game is played, itemizations. We'll see what all the topics that we're going to get into. Good shots there. We're half HP. Our splatters haven't really been hitting notably, but we do have enough to go by. So we're going to hit our first buy here. And probably melee lifesteal, right? Yep, it will be melee lifesteal. That's pretty typical. So melee lifesteal is going to grant our player here some health upon landing a heavy melee, or any melee attack, I should say. It's on a brief cooldown, but notably it applies to Puddle Punch. So we're going to look for Puddle Punch uses at this point, because we're sitting, you know, between half and 30 HP. So we're going to be looking for an opportunity to gain some health here. Taking damage to some of these mines. We'll keep an eye on that. Geist is a really annoying person to play against in lane. We do miss our Puddle Punch, but we push in. Very low HP, but we get the fix, so hey, good deal. Another Puddle Punch used there. And I think I've gone through this VOD a little bit. I think I know what we're about to see. We're probably going to clear wave, and then I think this player decides to head home. Go back to base and give health. And this is interesting. This is actually something that I took from this game. I watched this, and I thought to myself, well, is this the best decision? So I believe if I let this play, I'll just let this play while we talk. We can try to keep an eye on the wave, right? Because we don't want to miss out on a creep wave here. That's money. Those are souls, and we need to be getting the max amount of value out of those as possible. So we're going to head home. We do our purchasing in spot, in shop, head shop booster, enduring spirit. They're fine. They're fine pickups. Excuse me. I don't usually go that way because I don't build as much gun. Headshot booster player seems to hit some good shots, so we'll see about that. When we return, so when this player returns back from base, an entire wave is still sitting here ready to go for them. So technically, we did not miss out on any soul value by going back to base. We missed out on uptime. We missed out on an opportunity to lower the health and comfort level of the Geist who we're laning against, and we missed out on the opportunity potentially to deny souls from the creeps that the enemy Geist is killing on our side. That being said, those aren't too drastic of things to miss out on. The number one priority is definitely a creep wave here, and we're getting back in time to hit that, which is interesting to me. The thing that I'll note is that our first buy was melee lifesteal. Our very first purchase was melee lifesteal, and we really have not gotten any value out of melee lifesteal at all. We have not hit a Puddle Punch. We have our Puddle Punch upgraded to level 2, meaning that we get extra one additional charge of the Puddle Punch. Having money, having souls, having upgrades is great, but it doesn't matter if you don't get to use them or if you use them incorrectly, right? And so, in this case, this player has invested into Puddle Punch. We've invested one of our ability points into Puddle Punch, and we've invested directly 500 souls into Puddle Punch for the purpose of keeping us alive in lane. And our entire first item has been null and void up to this point. Viscous wouldn't be played if he didn't have Puddle Punch as one of his abilities. I mean, I'm sure he would, but his effectiveness would be way lower without having Puddle Punch as one of his abilities. And we're playing it as if we don't have it because we're misusing it. So that's how I like to think about things like this. We're misusing Puddle Punch, so it's as good as null and void. We don't have it. We do take some shots there. but not too bad, right? Just taking those guys spam. Geist is particularly annoying for spam. There's a Puddle Punch landed. But what's the value trade? I actually want to go back 10 seconds, and the replay viewer is a little bit buggy. What I want to keep an eye on is, did we already use our melee lifesteal? Like, have we melee lifestealed? And we'll see that if I think we meleeed a creep right here. Look at our melee lifesteal timer. It did heal us. So our melee lifesteal gets value. Great. Is it really where we needed it to get value? There's two trains of thoughts with this, and actually let me open up Epic Pen. Okay. So there's two trains of thoughts that go with puddle punching in this scenario. One, we were down a little bit of HP, right? And so we had an opportunity to heal, but that HP is not really critical, right? The cap of our HP, if we're missing, like, look at the Geist HP. We don't look at a Geist like this and say, oh, there's a big opportunity right now. We can push that Geist. We have an opportunity. We're going to be more aggressive because the Geist is that HP. We're really not going to see that until maybe we get to half, right? When we start to see like half HP, okay, this is an opportunity for us to push in. The other train of thought that actually might be a proponent for this Puddle Punch and this use of Puddle Punch is just the basic concept of uptime. Is uptime. You have to see my pen drawing. I shouldn't have and I put it behind my camera anyway. But the concept of uptime says that we want to be doing things. It's like, what's our APM, our actions per minute? We just want to be doing things and inputting value. We're going to get some amount of value out of doing something. Let's do something. And having a capped, like, having 2 out of 2 of your Puddle Punch charges, technically could be leaving value on the table. Because hitting this Puddle Punch, you're doing this much damage, displacing the opponent in this much of a direction, applying that much pressure, gets some amount of value. Maybe it means that she doesn't get to get the last hit on one of the creeps. Maybe it means she's low enough HP where later we can capitalize on it. It is just not a definitive value off of a more decisive engage or a more tangible form of value. The argument is that we have 2 charges. Rather than just sitting on 2 charges, let's use them and keep our uptime up. I would say that this is probably not my favorite Puddle Punch usage, and that's going to be because of where our HP was at. And I think we can avoid those trips back to spawn. I think we can avoid getting super low HP by correctly using Puddle Punch around our melee lifesteal. Melee lifesteal is so good for Viscous, it's incredible. It's just a matter of having a good conscious awareness of that. So like right now, we did a couple of melees. We did a couple of melees on some creep waves, so I don't believe we got any health off of that Puddle Punch. Spectator makes it a little bit difficult to tell. I'll run it back and we'll see if we can deduce whether or not that was the case. But we love the Spectator. At this point, if I go back, I think it's like the pause. It just takes me way forward. I think we were about here. So we'll see where it puts us back at. But yeah, this is really exactly where it was. So let's say for so we can just watch some of this back. Maybe we get to see the previous Puddle Punch at this point as well. I think we just Puddle Punch. So I'm going to try to keep an eye on our HP to see if we get value out of this Puddle Punch. So we do get value out of that Puddle Punch. We did heal off of it. We got, I would say, look at this health bar if you're trying to keep up that stuff. But again, we're healing non-critical HP, right? We're not really keeping ourselves available and alive in the fight. We're just, kind of assisting towards that. But our uptime is pretty good. Missing a Puddle Punch is a little bit unfortunate. This player likes headshot booster, and they hit some nice headshots, which definitely helped lead to that elimination there. So honestly, having a pretty dominant performance in lane right now. We're very ahead on souls. Even getting our ultimate available at this point. Gonna go back, make some purchases. Yeah, so overall I'm feeling pretty good about this. I have some notes going, so let me consult. I love that you just get to see everything on my screen now. Let me consult my notes here. Talk about Puddle Punches. And one thing that we can talk about is receiving spam, because one thing that we've done a lot in this lane is we have taken spam from these Geist nades. She just missed that one. We didn't take damage that time, but we've taken a lot of damage from that, and this is in a lane where we're actually performing quite well, right? We're performing in better than the Geist is performing up to this point, at least as far as souls are concerned. We'll kind of look at this goo ball a little bit and then see if we can find a situation where we can talk about goo ball. Spectating is also really, really bad. I like splatter. I don't have the same concept as I do with Puddle Punch about splatter. I think splatter is one you could definitely really use unless you're going for the Skinner combo, which is something I think you could incorporate into your gameplay. The Geist is pretty low and she's coming up on that 3,000 soul mark, so now is a good opportunity to look for a window. If you can try to get aggressive at this point and get that pick before she gets ultimate available, I typically find that against Geist, that's your best option. You don't want to feed, you don't want to die for it, you don't have a ton of HP or even your Puddle Punch tools to keep you healthy, so do with that as you will. But it's a good opportunity now to try and look for a pick. This is really interesting, and I'll talk on this briefly. This isn't even your mistake here. It might come into play in a future part of this VOD, but notice that this Warden has come over to you. And I don't have comms in the replay, so maybe this is something that was communicated, but this is typically not very valuable in this game state, right? And the reason for that is because right now Geist is under her tower, right? Think about the position that the enemy team is in. The Geist is under her tower, and we have a gank coming in from lane 2 to come and help us, likely with a pick, right? Oh, well, let's try to get a pick on this Geist. Maybe it's going to happen. Maybe we are able to increase our pressure under tower, but this is just going to be a little bit more difficult to pull off in terms of finding that value than in a world where we played for a gank and we waited until the Geist was, say, here underneath our tower, right? And maybe I can even demonstrate this. We'll see what this wonderful camera will allow us to do. So right now Geist is under her tower, right? So let's see, quick alt tab. Geist is underneath her tower, and we are here, right, on what potentially looks like a gank opportunity. The issue is we're just not going to be able to get to do any damage to this Geist. Compare that to a situation which does happen and has happened in this game where the Geist is more aggressive, and we see something like the Geist pushed up to this point. Maybe we're playing out of shop and just looking for denies. Let me make that blue for consistency's sake. We're playing out of shop, we're looking for denies, and then we see Warden come in on the off angle, and we actually get an opportunity to apply meaningful amounts of pressure onto this Geist, right? You would push up at that point and participate in a team fight against this Geist, or a gank against the Geist. This is a game state that does better for this. Does it cost the Warden anything to come to your lane? Like, are we going to miss out on anything? We're sub 8 minutes, which means that our souls are still getting duplicated in any duo lane, and so we're not really going to miss out on any money. He's not trolling your cash right now, but he might be missing out on a wave over here. Warden isn't the most particularly fast character to go from lane to lane. I'm not sure if maybe we're building a lot of speed items. I know that Warden can be fast, but in any case, it's not a quick jump over here and a quick jump to where this Warden is going to get maybe a massive amount of value. Plus, the Warden really hasn't taken care of everything at home yet. His home lane is not in an incredible state to be making this play. Is it okay to make this play if the Geist is at our tower and we have an angle for it? Sure. Is it okay to make this play if the tower is low HP and we just want to try to get a little bit of extra push to get that tower done quickly? Sure. I'm good with those types of plays, but I think that this was a bit premature. Or maybe just not calculated. So I believe what we're going to see is Warden's going to pack his bags and head out. Now, and I'm actually going to continue to use the Warden before Warden heads out, because he's actually, I think, about to be hit by this nade. So let's see. Does get hit by the nade right there. And Geist nade is very difficult, but we're going to use this Warden to talk about something that I've wanted to talk about based on just watching your gameplay from the Viscous point of view. And I could go back and look at it, but it works just as well here. And that has to do with our stamina usage in lane. Okay, our stamina can do 3 things. Our stamina can be used to push aggressive. So we can aggro. our stamina can be used to increase our uptime, right? Same concept of uptime before. So we can increase our uptime with stamina. And what I mean by that is we can use stamina to get from our creep wave to our level 1 camp so that we can do the level 1 camp and then get back and do the next creep wave, right? And the final thing that we're using stamina for during the laning phase of the game is to live, okay, and to evade. So to live. These are the 3 things. Now, uptime is pretty much I would argue that uptime is the worst way to be using your stamina. It's the most tempting. It's the biggest problem I have. I have a little ADHD rat brain, and I just want to go do a bunch of things. And so that's what I try to do. I frequently am low on stamina because I have this problem. That being said, it's still fine. It's good to increase your uptime. It's good to be able to hit those camps in between waves. Stamina is a tool at your disposal, and so it's not bad to use it for that. What I would warn on the uptime conversation is that this stamina is definitely not for uptime. This last stamina bar is not for uptime. This stamina bar, maybe that's for uptime. And if we have all 3 stamina bars, sure, this stamina bar is for uptime all day, right? I'm good with that, right? Now, aggro, that's pretty self-explanatory. I'm not going to go too much into that. We have an advantage. We're going to use stamina to push forward and to take advantage of that opportunity, to continue to apply pressure to the individual we're applying pressure to. That's being aggressive, right? Using our stamina. Great. Now, we can't do that if we've thrown all our stamina out using uptime, right? And we need to have stamina to create this opportunity. But in any case, this is the important one, especially in a lane against Geist. That the nade or whatever the ability is actually called, that makes me wonder. Her essence bomb is super annoying in lane, and it can do a ton of damage, and they get Mystic Reach, and suddenly it's all over the place, and it's hard to evade. It takes good game sense, good positioning, and good stamina usage to be able to live and evade from these things, but you have to be conscious about that, right? These are the sorts of concepts that make sense when we talk about it, but then you actually have to consciously apply it into your gameplay. And so lanes are built all with natural cover because of these sorts of concepts. All of these various forms of natural cover provide you with places that you can stand around in order to avoid taking damage, right? This is the shooter component of the game. But there are a variety of items that do AoE damage, nade type damage. We have the Essence Bomb. Stomp is like almost in that direction. Slam is kind of in that direction. Cards are almost kind of in that direction too. Flask is absolutely in that direction. I get hit or miss on Stake, hit or miss on the green shot from Hanzo, whatever you'd like to say there. The other big one is definitely Geist, right? Essence Bomb is the big one, and then Flask is the big one, and Paradox Bomb. Those are kind of like the big AoE throw it and displace natural cover positions, right? And so if you're playing a natural cover position because you're doing poke damage onto the enemy or because you're looking for last hits on creeps, you are almost always, especially in these types of lanes, against the alchemical flasks, the essence bombs, the paradox bombs, you're thinking about what your stamina is about to be used for. And you have to become somewhat relevant or aware of what those cooldowns on those items look like. And you can always check, so do that, right? You can always just click on or press tab and hover the character in game, and then you can hover and it says, oh, this is on a 26-second cooldown, right? That's Dynamo's Stomp, I think. That's his Stomp, yeah. So you can always do that, but in any case, it becomes more of a feeling where you're feeling, do they have these abilities right now? And if so, I need to be ready to evade. At a high level, this becomes really interesting because you'll have something like a Viscous. Maybe let's flip the script and say the Viscous is the one pushing this way. If a Viscous is on this high ground, you'll see a high-level Viscous like Goober. One thing Goober likes to do is he likes to jump and do a little jump up to, just a double jump while somebody's sitting like here. And he's doing that because that's what a Viscous would do if they were going to throw a Puddle Punch and a Splatter like a Skinner combo down, right? And the whole intention of doing this isn't actually always to throw those abilities down from Goober's perspective, but Goober is looking to force the exit rotation and the stamina use, because if we can make them use stamina, then it's going to be easier to land our attacks upcoming. And so one thing, it's a big topic. I've heard people talk about it, but I don't feel like I hear a lot of people talk about stamina usage enough. And I think it is absolutely something that new players are missing out on the full opportunity of. Your stamina usage in lane is very, very important. Okay. We'll look at 9 minutes here. I have a note for 9 minutes that's alleging that there's a pretty good play at hand. So my note says good punch, great punch, but bad play at 9 minutes. So let's see what exactly I had in mind. We are doing some sort of T-pose. Great punch. It is a great punch. I do remember this punch. And so I'll rewind just a little bit here. Yeah, this is a really solid punch. See, I didn't go back 10 seconds. Okay. We love the Deadlock spectator. So I believe the situation is that we get Geist very low, and we're going to be aggressive onto this Geist. Let's see how this goes. Okay, so we're poking. We hit a nice splatter onto the Geist. We use our stamina to avoid the Essence Bomb, and Geist is relatively low. We know that Geist has ultimate, okay? We know that the Geist has the ultimate. As we climb here, we know that Geist had just evaded stairs. Where is she at? Where is she at? We see her there. Take the damage from the Essence Bomb. When you see the Geist on that high ground position, that's where I'm talking about. You shouldn't be reacting to the bomb being thrown and jumping away. You may need to be reacting to a Geist peeking and knowing that she has bomb available, or even being able to see that she has a proc because she does a loading up animation essentially. In any case, the Geist is low. We take this high ground position and we're looking to take advantage. We see it there. We throw that. We miss the splatter, but then this punch is such a good punch. It is a really, really good punch. And finding punches similar to this that do similar things as this is a very important part of playing Viscous, specifically in the laning phase, but really in getting value in team fights or in ganks all across the game. So I love it because it's going to do damage around that piece of natural cover that the Geist was playing behind, and it even pushes the Geist out into open space, which is fantastic. Now, I would say that we probably would look to follow up with a second Puddle Punch. It's going to take a little bit of a cooldown that we can't appreciate on the replay side of things, just because the cooldowns don't demonstrate correctly. But in any case, that's one way that we can look to get this pick from afar, because Geist has ultimate. We don't really want to push in and go too close quarters against her. But what we decide to do is invest in lag. We lag a whole bunch. We go in with Goo Ball and we get Geist, right? And so now the Geist is closer to half HP, and at this point in the game, with our itemization and with our ability upgrade order, we would have to hit the Geist multiple times to find the elimination. And so we just get stuck in a little bit of a tricky situation where we're really greeting. Guys, this is a problem, okay? We invested, like, if we really analyze how the past 30 seconds have gone, we've invested Puddle Punch a couple of times, Puddle Punch a couple of times, and Splatter a couple of times, and we've invested Goo Ball, and the enemy ulted, and the enemy's low HP, and we invested Cube to stay alive. This is the sunk cost fallacy, right? We've put so much of our resources into trying to win this fight that we think that we have to win the fight. They're just cooldowns. They'll come back. You can go get healed up. But dying and risking dying is just not worth staying so committed in a situation where you don't have a decisive advantage. That being said, I'm not against continuing to be aggressive and looking for the pick, but being in tower right now seems a bit greedy, right? We need to be allowed to give up on things, and it is much harder to give up when we invest so much, but sometimes that is the optimal decision. So at least we're not doing anything too crazy. We're not like jumping into the spawn looking for a melee right now, but it's still, I would classify this as an overinvestment at times. I don't mind the poking, although priority is probably on the creeps at this point. I wouldn't really be. I would be really prioritizing this creeps. We can see where we're looking at is less of a priority than creeps. But there we do get the full wave. And now we're going to be able to get some tower damage out, so that's not too bad. Geist going home. This is a pretty good situation. I like this. Typically, it is preferred to prioritize the creep wave over the tower. You know, hit or miss on that if you think that it's going to lead to you not getting the tower. I really hope we get tower here. And we do. Fantastic. We talked about ganking. I'm just going over my notes right now. Okay, so let's go forward to about the 11-minute mark. So, 11-minute mark, I suppose, is just, this is when we get towers. So what are our options at this point? You can defend your tower, right? We can always defend our tower. We can, what else do I want to say? Really just what our options are. I would say that we can defend our tower, which also allows us to look for the push opportunity. We could teleport to lane 4 and look at the gank, right? This is a game state situation. We have an enemy player. If you really need to have some kind of, I don't want to say dumbed down, but if you want to have a really simple rule of thumb that you can follow, just break the map in half, and this is an opportunity. Well, that might be a gank opportunity, right? And half isn't the best way to describe that. It's probably more about lane control and map control. What lanes do you have? But finding this is a gank opportunity onto lane 4. The other thing that you can do is you could go and help lane 2 push, right? Lane 3 is probably not super realistic for you right now, just because of it would take so long for you to get there. So it's best that I think you make one of these decisions. I'm not going to tell you that any of the decisions are particularly right or wrong. I think that they are all viable, right? I would say that if you can get your lane to a state where you can push it up just a little bit more, which is a little bit, you know, you're starting to risk getting ganked, but at this point in the game, I think you're fine. And we have the advantage of knowing where people are, so I know you're fine. But I would say that you could push your wave out a little bit and then look for value in an additional lane. One thing we want to try to do is we want to try to get that third Guardian right now and push for our flex slots. So, with you having your Guardian, lane 2 having their Guardian, then the only lane that you have quick access to would be lane 4. And I think right now, a play where you push forward, get the creep wave, and then head back to teleport could be a very strong plan. That's something I would definitely communicate with your Grey Talon and say, Grey Talon, I'm going to be there soon, and we can look for a gank on the Wraith, and then you can look for that pick, and then hopefully a Guardian out of that, therefore getting your first flex slot. And your objectives would be to get money up, deny enemy money, right? That's one thing that you do get to do by staying in lane 1. If you stay here in this head-to-head against the Geist, this may seem like a less optimal idea because it's like we're not pushing for a Guardian right now, and realistically at this point in the game we're probably not pushing for a Walker. But we do get to keep the map control of this area, which is always good. And then the other thing that we can do is we can put pressure on the Geist, which is going to make it more difficult for the Geist to just get free money, right? We can maybe threaten an elimination, force her to go back to spawn, miss a couple of creep waves. We can deny, and just do things. We should be, like, at this point looking to dodge the Essence Bomb that's about to come in. Am I calling that too early? Maybe I'm calling that too early. There's the Essence Bomb. We just kind of take it for no great reason, but in any case. Okay, and then flex slots. I think that's the most important one. We're doing a lot of standing here. The Geist is here to deny a lot of this progression. We don't want to lose tower, I agree. It's a little bit of an uncomfortable situation, but I think we could be getting more value off of this lane right now. We'll kind of walk through some of this gameplay. I think at 13 minutes we're going to get to see a team fight. So at this point, see, we've pushed up the wave. You could go put pressure on tower, or you could go teleport for your lane 4. This is a gank option, going into enemy jungle. Let's see how it plays out.
Not today.
Okay, there's a couple of thought processes here. My argument is that this is a suboptimal trade overall. And I think it's a bad habit. you decided to push this portion of the enemy jungle, which you did not have control on. You almost had map control of that area from your lane, but your second lane is pushed to the walker right now. You do not have control of this area, and trying to exist in the enemy jungle is very dangerous. Your counterpoint to that is, I was so close to getting the kill. The Lady Geist was 1 HP. I almost had it. She lived because she had an ultimate, and it's not that her ultimate was the only way anybody would have lived. Other characters have other abilities that would have kept them alive, and it's just evidence that your engagement into enemy territory, yes, you're up in cash a little bit at this point. You're the most fed player in the lobby outside of their Wraith, but it's not a significant advantage, and you don't have the information to know if you're able to make a play like this. So this play is unnecessarily risky. You're playing at a goo ball. Are you really going to die and lose goo ball? Probably not. But I still think that this is just ultimately a waste of your time. What do you get out of this? A little bit of pressure on the opponents? Sure. Some resource pools from the opponents? Sure. But it's not a reliable way to do those things, and I don't think it's worth it for this trade overall. So we'll see what happens. I do believe we're going to be getting into a team fight relatively soon. At least you're kiting. I agree with your kite location. We definitely got to prioritize that walker here. Definitely want to prioritize that walker. We're going home. What do we do after home, right? We probably are going to go to one of our middle lanes because they're pushed pretty much into our walkers. Alternatively, we could try a split push on lane 1 to go for an aggressive play on our walker. I think that's too aggressive and definitely risk getting ganked, excuse me. And the other play would be a lane 4 play for our Guardian and our Flex slot. Okay. So that was a fantastic cube. We have a whole team fight here. You're engaging with your team. We have numbers. We're going on. We're getting picks. We used cube on our Infernus, who is Wraith ulted. I think that's awesome. That's a great way to use cube. But overall, pretty straightforward team fight. Nothing too crazy about this fight that I want to talk about. What I really want to talk about is the continued conversation of our decision making. We have significant advantage. It's at least it says 0, but we can see the cooldowns are messed up. But 5 of the enemy are dead right now. At 14 minutes of the game, we have 5 of the enemy dead. We should be taking significant advantage of this situation. We should be getting a ton of ground made up at this point. How do we do that, right? What are our options after this team fight? Well, we can push lane 3's walker. That's where the team fight took place. We have everybody right there. The lane is pushed up. Pushing the walker makes sense. There are the Wraith, the only remaining player alive, is there, but realistically, she's not going to pose much of a threat to your entire team, especially because she doesn't have ult, because she just used it on your Infernus. Option 2 would be to go build back up your other lanes, repair your other lanes, go to lane 2, which it looks like is what the direction that you're headed in is. So we can start to push this a little bit. Technically, you have the option to take enemy jungle. There's not a lot of enemy jungle on the map. I mean, I think your team actually would be served pretty well to take, to take some of this jungle. That'd be pretty good. They could do that kind of in between some of their other objectives. But the big things that we need out of this right now is that we need this walker. We need this Guardian. And then maybe we can push for even more value. Their spawn timers aren't incredibly long because it's relatively early game, but we have a significant advantage right now. So what do we do to take advantage? So we're going to go clear wave on lane 2. It's good. Lane 2 is pushed to our walker, as in we don't have a tier 1. So we do want to do that. Getting this wave is going to be good. One thing that is not shown well right now that I know because I've watched this replay a couple of times is that our Warden currently has the urn and is running the urn. And our lane 1 is pushed basically to the urn point, right? We don't have significant map control of this area. So that means we also don't have knowledge about what is over here. We don't know that the Geist is right there at this point in the game. So that is the saving grace for this decision to go lane 1. I really don't like the decision to go lane 1 here, or even, we're taking a little bit of enemy jungle, that's cool. I don't love the decision to go to lane 1 here. We're doing it to help our Warden. I think we even pull out Cube here. It's like, oh, do we need to cube our Warden who's dropping? Maybe we don't. Okay. In any case, that's one way that you could have gotten value, right? After the urn delivery, we can, you know, do we really want to split these souls? Do we really want to be here? Should we be pushing another advantage? Our advantage is subsided at this point, but this is uncomfortable, and I feel that this is one thing that I'm working on the most right now in my Deadlock games, is to reduce the number of times that I feel uncomfortable, that I feel like I'm doing something that is giving me a suboptimal amount of value. And I feel like right now we're getting a suboptimal amount of value. There's nothing particularly wrong, and the idea of helping your Warden deliver the urn is right, but look at the game state after we just won a team fight and killed 5 of the other players. Our map control looks solid, but all that we got out of that was a single Guardian that was here and was already low HP. We did not, and we got Urn, So we did get we got 2 things out of that, right? And that team fight was worth it. I'm pretty impressed that we didn't get lane 3's Walker, and could you have helped out with that? That's the question I'm posing, right? How could we have gotten more value in that situation? Because that's going to win you games, right? Just really pushing your advantage is going to win you these games. I think I have like 2 more things I want to look at. So let's go to about the right, basically where we're at, because we're going to have a little bit of a team fight, quote unquote, breakout. And this is an important concept that we're going to see regarding Viscous, this Viscous gaming, right? So let's see what happens here. We do a little bit of shopping, no big deal. And then we're going to look to push lane 1. The conversation of, is this the right thing to do? That is a whole conversation. I don't hate the play. 2 people pushing a Walker at this point is fine. Puts a lot of pressure on the map. I'm a little bit worried about our inside lanes, but we have teammates for that reason. Just now, we saw the Geist. We saw the Geist while we were on the zip line. We hop off, and this is what I want to talk about. This is something I really, really, really want to discourage Viscous players from doing. If I can figure out how to work the camera. I really want to discourage players from engaging with goo ball like this. I hear all the time people talking about how they love Viscous, they love the goo ball ultimate, they love playing the character, but it's hard, and they talk about how the character is hard. It's not a character that's necessarily easy to just pick up and go with. But the reason that things like the ultimate are hard are because oftentimes we're making it harder on ourselves. This distance is miles. The distance between the enemy, the closest enemy, and our goo ball engage, which isn't upgraded to level 5 at this point, meaning that we can't even throw a splatter, throw a punch. Right, we're not upgraded yet. We're not oh, we are actually maxed. Am I lying? Are we maxed? We are maxed. Okay, so I'm lying. In any case, yes, we can throw splatter, and we can get value from afar. But while we are trying to cross this distance, we are losing time on inside goo ball, right? Goo ball is on a timer. It has a duration. We are just losing time. And we have picked up a megaphone, and we've broadcasted to the enemy team, I am coming in with the intention of full committing and trying to get an elimination using my goo ball. And there is no advantage to the enemy having that much information. We are only going to be countered by this, right? We can expect that these 2 players that we're engaging on have a lot of cooldowns that they're going to be able to negate the value that we're going to get off of. We are going to waste time with this engagement. If you want to take engagements like this, then the only world where I can begin to build a justification for this sort of engagement is where you have a full team behind you that is looking to take the space with you that you're going to give your team. They're going to be able to apply pressure to the enemy team, and the enemy team is going to use cooldowns to survive and negate you that they won't be able to use to survive and negate your teammates. That's an argument that can be made. I still argue that this type of engagement is suboptimal. So what do we do? What can we do instead? Well, Instead of seeing the enemy and pressing the button and running in a straight line into them, I strongly encourage you guys to be more creative about the ways that you are engaging into team fights. If we see the enemy here, well, at this moment, we're too far away to get a good engage off, so maybe we hang back. Maybe we do go really aggressive with our stamina because we can't use stamina in Goo Ball. Well, now we can with down dash, but we aren't really relying on our stamina use in Goo Ball. So maybe we do a dash, jump, jump, Skinner combo onto the Guinness, who's the closest opponent to us, right? Well, it's still the straight up engage. It's actually going to be faster than Goo Balling in a straight line. The dash, jump, jump is going to close more distance more quickly than just a rolling out with Goo Ball will. It's going to cool down dump in a productive way onto the Guinness before we go into Goo Ball. We're still able to use cooldowns in Goo Ball, but we don't have to rely on them as heavily. It gets a lot of pressure out onto the Guinness, and it closes that distance, so we then do a ton of damage with a Skinner combo right here, and we follow it up with a Goo Ball collision, right? That's an incredible amount of burst damage, makes it much more difficult to survive. We still don't have a big team here. We're still pushing in 1v2. There's still problems, but how does this get better? Okay, second plan. Instead of pushing in, and let's kind of abbreviate, you know, I said a Skinner combo into ult. Excuse me, Goo Ball. We love riding with Epic Pen. Into Goo Ball. Skinner combo into Goo Ball. What's another way that we could do this? Well, we could just kind of hang out for a second and clear wave, right? And we're just kind of feeling out the enemy. And if they stay in this area, they get a little bit closer, we maybe look for an off-angle opportunity. So we may close distance walking up to here. We may come around here, right? I'm kind of posing two situations here where we could come up this way, we could come all the way around this area and come out the back door. And suddenly we have options to get closer to this fight without using cooldowns and wasting duration to get there. The big no-no is just running into a straight line. This is synonymous to a Reaper in Overwatch raping into the middle of the enemy team and then trying to pop Death Blossom. It is very broadcasted and it is much easier to get shut down. But if you're able to close the distance, then going from here to the Guinness is so quick, you're able to just pop into ball form, actually hit that first collision, and you still have 95% of your Goo Ball duration left. By the time you get this first hit, and let's actually examine this, by the time you get this first hit in Goo Ball, I have a suspicion that you are not going to have much Goo Ball left. Right, look at our Goo Ball. Boom. Okay, so, I mean, we've used about 80%. I have to keep the timer running, right? We use 20%, right? So we just waste 20% of our time. And the Goo Ball movement's good. Like, I mean, that elimination is good. I don't think you should have been able to get away with that. I think there's tools that the guys could have used, that the Guinness could have used to stay alive there. In any case, you're credited with that elimination. Good job. This is interesting. I'll throw in a micro tip about Cube. That's why we see the sniper there, is because we're in Cube. For some reason, we get a sniper while we're in Cube. So when this loads, it's going to load us the wrong spot. What was that, 14.5? Hello? Okay. So we're coming into the fight. So again, look at how much time they have to react. This takes forever for us to get here, right? We do hit a couple of nice shots, even throw a Puddle Punch, we rebound well. We missed the Puddle Punch, but it helps us rebound when we get that against guys. When we push into the Guinness here, or the Geist here, I keep mixing them up. We get Geist ulted, okay, we're about half HP, okay, but now we're under tower and we have very little duration left, right? It's not going to show us how much duration because spectator bug. But we're running out of Goo Ball duration. That being said, you're faster in Goo Ball than you would be walking without stamina, right? You have more resistances. So if we are in this situation, we should use Goo Ball to get out at this point, right? If we were plopped into this situation, low-ish HP, half-ish HP, full HP Geist is against us, and we're underneath enemy Walker taking damage, we need to get out of the situation. Goo Ball is your tool to get out of the situation right now. Instead, we Cube here. We're stacking Cube onto our already tanky Goo Ball form. It's not very wise. This is not optimal use of the Cube in this case because you still have to get out of this situation. You still have to exit this situation. Whereas this could have been a rebound to just bounce us back the way we came and travel outside of the enemy walker and get back to where we need to be. So we even cancel our goo ball because we know, okay, well, I still need to get out of here. And if I was going to pop cube in a world where I still needed to escape enemy walker or enemy territory, I'm pretty much only going to do it because the walker is looking to stomp, right? And stun you, because the walker will stomp and you'll get stunned. Avoiding that state, the stunned state, by using cube, I think is fine. You're still going to get stunned, but you'll be invincible, of course, and then you'll be able to pop out and you won't get stunned after that. So I would argue that that's a good idea. But outside of that, using cube here is then suboptimal. Warp Stone, we're going to jump away. We really don't deserve to get out with our life here. I appreciate that you do, but I think that a higher level Geist is going to find the elimination on you in this scenario. Alright guys, that is all I have for this VOD review. I honestly sat on this video for a couple of weeks, not sure if I would post it, just because this is the first time that I've made Deadlock coaching content, and I want to be sure that I'm getting the best information out to you guys in these videos. So if you did enjoy it, please, please, please let me know in the comments below. And if you want to see more of this content, please consider subscribing so that you will see when I post new videos. If you're just getting started playing Viscous, I definitely recommend checking out I Wear Gucci's Eternus Viscous Guide. And if you want to see me popping off and hitting clips on the green goo guy, then click the video on your screen now. In any case, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.